Hello and welcome to the 5-Element Creative Healing Program. I want to reiterate that you've made a really good choice in putting yourself on this path. You're going to discover so much about yourself, as well as transforming whatever you decide needs to shift from a sort of a lower, denser energy into a higher, more serving form of energy. A creative healing process is really about alchemizing energy. And so I have just a few things that I want to impart to you in order for you to get the best out of your program. And so I'll be kind of peeking at my notes here just to make sure I don't miss anything. And one of the things is that whether you're very new to creativity or you're an established artist, a fine artist, or anything in between, this process, this program, will actually take you from where you are to your next level, and especially when it comes to the creative healing part. You can use this modality, this thing that we call art, to actually transform, transmute, and alchemize energy. It's such a beautiful process. And if you are new, then just give yourself a lot of latitude. You will learn everything you need to know, and you're held in a very sacred space. Regardless of whether you're new or experienced, you're held in a sacred space. So just kind of try to rest into that and feel that swaddling around you, because that's what the creative life force will do for us. So, and it is kind of hard for you to know now, but you will expand yourself as a human being. Your heart will expand, your soul will expand, your perceptions will expand. And when I say that, I don't mean that as a scary thing. They'll just move themselves into their next wider version, their next wider vision. So that's always a good thing. And don't be shy about cultivating your next level of creativity. Again, no matter where you are starting from, it is about cultivating, because there's always a next level. There's a next level of cultivating anything as a human being. And so sometimes we tend to get a little comfy in where we're at, and the design of the universe is to expand. So we're wanting to cultivate and bring ourselves to that next level. So I also want to remind you to do all of the steps, do everything that's part of this program. Watch all the videos, download your workbook, look at all the different PDFs that are associated with each of the steps. You don't have to necessarily go in order. There are 5 steps to the creative healing process: the setting of the intention, the choosing of your portal, the setting of the ritual and the actual creative process itself, the gathering of your gold, your insights, and then the integration. So those are the 5 steps, and they're all in your workbook. You might even want to copy that page out of your workbook so that you can kind of keep it clear until you have it by heart, which at some point you will. If you do more than one process, it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, this is the step that's next. But of course, the program will walk you through each of the steps and then break down each step, what it means, what you're actually doing with it. So don't skip anything. It's okay if you want to start with clarity and abundance before you go and do your first creative healing process. That's totally fine, but try to not skip anything. The only one that's skippable is if you are a fine artist, or an established artist, or a person who does art regularly. You may not need the supplies and space video, which is part of this module, but everything else is applicable to a new creative person pursuing their creativity as it is to a fine artist. Okay, so and also remember to engage in this process as an exploration, as something that you're going to discover. You're on a treasure hunt for your gold, your nuggets. Try to be lighthearted about it. Try to have fun with it, play with it, versus the way that we can sometimes get in our mind, which is serious and intense and heavy. You will mine more gold, and you will transform energy easier if you go at this from the perspective of discovery and exploration and inquiry, right? Energy moves faster because there's space in that, right? When we're in serious, we're all contracted, so the energy can't move as well. So try to remind yourself of that, even if it means putting a little sticky in your creative space, on your bathroom mirror, on your computer. I mean, I have to do that all the time to remind myself, oh yeah, this is important, So do what you have to do there. And the other thing I want to talk about is that we all have a critic voice. We all have that part of our mind that's critical and judgmental and fear-based. But then we also have this part of our self that is connected to the greater wisdom. It's connected to the divine intelligence, and that's our creative life force too, right? It's connected to the quantum field. So in the beginning, if this is something that's new to you, your critic will want to be hanging on to the reins, and she will want to be criticizing and judging and digging in her heels and wanting to not have you move forward with this. And it may be fairly strong. Your job is to simply recognize that. Your job is to go, oh, there she is. She's scared. It's okay. I mean, treat her as you would a 3-year-old who's afraid of walking into a dark room. You know, you would hold her hand. You might even hold her on your hip. You would tell her it's okay. You know, all those things. So, and until your creative life force is actually given the reins, which you do that with your conscious will. Your job is to simply give the reins from your critic to your life force, and then your life force connected to the divine intelligence, your heart, your soul, to source, to spirit, will know what to do, what to say, what not to do, and eventually you will bridge this gap. A creative healing process bridges the gap between your fear-based critical self and your creative healing sourced self, and that gap becomes smaller and smaller over time and on any given subject. And the creative healing process is a bridge between the two, right? Or I guess I should go this way. If this is your critic, I can't remember now which one was critic, but anyway, you get the idea. So your job is to recognize that your critic is based in no worth of self, the feeling of not enough, the feeling of being unlovable, the feeling of any time you could be abandoned, and the feeling of fear. Those are all common to all human beings. So lest you think you're the only one who has a loud critic voice, you're not. You know, so you until you teach yourself that it's safe to trust versus worry, that it's safe to fill your cup versus not having enough, because most women are very programmed, and it is a programming, and all these programs are transmutable, but most women are programmed to give everything to everyone else, leaving their own cup empty, and then they're overwhelmed and overworked and tired and frustrated, and that is changeable, that is transformable. There's an alchemy that's awaiting your attention for you to go from not enough, unworthy, unlovable, and fear-based to enough, and your cup being filled and being generous from a full cup, and not leaving yourself out of the equation, and coming from a place of trust rather than fear. So all of that is what you have access to in yourself and through a creative healing process. And don't be afraid of your compost, right? So a lotus flower grows out of this dark, dank stuff, right? It pulls itself by the light shining, it pulls itself up through that mud into her beautiful blossom, and every lotus has a beautiful blossom. That's my opinion. You may or may not agree, but nonetheless, it's still a blossom. And so that mud is her nourishment. That darkness is her cocoon. That density is the fodder, the compost from which the golden seed is sprouted and grown up and blossomed. Don't be afraid of it. We are so used to resisting it and being afraid of it and sweeping it under the carpet and throwing it in the closet and closing the door and putting our back up against the door so that it can't get out. And what I'm asking you, what I'm inviting you to do, is consider that none of that energy is going to hurt you. In fact, if it comes into your present awareness and your conscious awareness, then it's ready to be transformed. It's ready to become your golden compost, right? It's ready to be alchemized by you through a creative healing process. So that's a practice, and I'm gonna just say one thing about a practice here in a minute. So just a couple more things. A creative healing process is not about perfection, it's about the process. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It will have varying stages because there are layers to it, but do not don't take yourself out of the game because you do not like what it looks like on your canvas or your journal page. That's just your critic, right? So it is not about perfection. You are not making gallery worthy pieces here. You are allowing this substrate, which I'll talk about in a video here in the future, but you're allowing that to be your transformation ground. Okay, so just remember, it's not about perfection, it's about the process. Celebration is also the key to the integration. So if you're transforming unworthy to worthy, then there will be steps along the way, and you want to celebrate each of those steps. You may not be fully to worthy yet, but it doesn't matter. You're walking in that direction. You want to celebrate each and every step, because that will help to integrate the new energy as you continue walking to the thing that you're calling forth out of yourself. Art and the creative process is really one of the last frontiers of freedom. It's expressing our best and most powerful leading edge of freedom and wholeness, and you are learning how to do that. So I want you to just go for it full on. And the creative healing process, as a reminder, works for all aspects of our life, whether it's to heal something, to cultivate empowerment and expression, to manifest abundance, to manifest more love. All of it is creatable in a creative healing process. So keep in mind that this is a practice. You're building a muscle, and you're building a muscle around awareness, and you're building a muscle around presence, and you're building your muscle around observation, and you're building your muscle about calming your critic, right? And you're building a muscle about listening to your guidance and your inner wisdom, because that is your creative life force. Your inner spirit, your inner Holy Spirit, is the same thing as your creative life force, and you're building the muscle of listening to her and following her wisdom, because she will never lead you astray. And you're also building the muscle of navigating your inner terrain, right? Your inner terrain that you're choosing to transform by your conscious choice. And this is energy management, which will eventually turn into energy mastery, right? That's a big deal. That's what we're being called to in this time in human consciousness. And you're learning how to transform and alchemize by your conscious choice. Those are all very worthy practices, and all of them that you will be doing, in addition to appreciating color, appreciating the feeling of life force, creative life force flowing through you, appreciating your end results, appreciating every breath along the way. So again, welcome to this program, and welcome to this journey of yours, and I can hardly wait to support you every step of the way. Okay? Until the next video.